Yeah, I really wanted to go into, you have a blog post you spoke about with your father. And my father will most likely be seeing this podcast as well. We've spoken multiple times, and I've really grown close with him. And I've seen, through your blog how close you were with your father. And I read your blog, and there was three things you learned from your father, of many other things, but the importance of making great memories, saying what most wish they had said, making your eternal destiny sure. Maybe if you could just go, and it doesn't have to just be those three, like speaking about the lessons that your father taught you and the importance of fathers, because it's all connected. Brotherhood, fathers, good friends, they're all connected in those who embody that. And I see that in you, which clearly you got from your father as a big part, and a big part for me that I have, that I've gotten closer with my father, because for years we were always close, but I've never been so close in the past couple of years as I've understood the importance of that,
Yeah.
which you were lucky to have as long as you have had as well.
Yeah. I had an awesome father, and he was, so it's my brother and I, we're 2 years apart. He's younger than me. And, but we tell people that, we drew the golden ticket when it came to fathers, and so my dad taught us a lot of lessons. He developed us into men, and he developed us, we didn't know it at the time, but he enabled us to be leaders in this world, and just by the lessons that he taught us, but that article that you talked about, I could go on for a long time about my dad. I spoke at his funeral. That also is on my blog.
Yeah.
And I said a lot of things about my dad in there that are pretty cool. And but yeah, these three lessons, I kind of took a look at that article again and read it again. And like I told you, I had to kind of gather myself up, because it's a little emotional for me to read my way through that.
For sure.
But the importance of making great memories. The one thing that my dad always did is he always made things exciting. It was like, first of all, he was crazy. He would do crazy things all the time. So you never knew what was coming with my dad. And so all my buddies and everything, they loved being around. They're like, they would come to our house all the time, and they just never knew what he was going to do. I mentioned in that article, we went to paintball.
You put the,
this was outdoor paintball, right? And so it's a 2-hour drive. And my dad said, "Hey boys, I want you all to meet at the house, and I want you in your camo, and we're gonna all put on our face paint before we ride up there." Well, we were riding up there in like 3 or 4 Jeeps with the tops off, packed into this thing. And my dad was riding with a buddy of his who had a Harley with a sidecar. And so here we are riding 2 hours on a highway, all of us camoed out, face paint, camo bandanas around our heads. I mean, it looked like commandos going in, riding down the highway. So, and of course, it was just kind of craziness all the way there. By the time we got there, we were just fired up. And of course, we slaughtered everybody. It was just like we were fired up, so we had a great time. But my dad would do that. He was a coach, and he always he had a way of making things really special. And he would always call attention to details. He understood people. And so he picked up on the things that made people special. My brother was very athletic, and so on my side, I wasn't nearly as talented as my brother, but my dad saw early on in me, he would always tell me this. He's like, "Hey, Jared, one thing I know is nobody will outwork you. You will outwork anybody, because you just don't give up." And I said this in his tribute. I don't know if that was really true when I was younger or not, but he spoke it into me so many times, it became true.
Yeah.
So whether it was something that he saw in me and he just drew it out and made it, amplified it, but that's what fathers can do, man. Fathers, the actions and words of a father are extremely powerful. And the more and more you work with men, the more you realize that, because it's going to do one of two things, and you see it. It's either going to be something that a man is going to have to overcome in order to be successful in life. Like he's going to have to deal with some things that his father said to him or did to him that weren't so positive, or it's going to catapult them to great heights in the world because of what that father said and did with that son. You know, and you see how powerful that is. But he made great memories. And so when he passed away, I have all these memories, you know, over here on my wall. These are all pictures of me and my dad and my brother. And, you know, they're all memories, man. I can tell you things that happened with each photograph, right? And so I have these great memories that I can always hang on. The importance of saying what most wish they had said. You know, this is just, how many times have you heard people say when somebody passes away, that's like, man, I wish I would have said this, or I wish this, right? And my dad, you know, he made it a habit of making sure that we knew how he felt about us. Like he, myself, my brother, we were always telling each other how much we loved each other, how much we cared for each other, how much we appreciated. You know, when I sent him Father's Day cards, I sent him things that said, hey, you know, I just want to let you know, because of the kind of father that you have been to me, it makes it easy for me to understand the Heavenly Father in the Bible. Because I know what a father's love is like.
Yeah. I
can receive that love. And so it makes it easy for me to receive the Heavenly Father's love, because I've had this relationship with you, and the way that the way he loved me. I said to everybody, you know, it's painful. Losing your father is a painful thing. But that pain, as great as it is sometimes, it's just a reminder, man, I was loved well. I was loved well, man. And that's where, when that pain wells up and it's hard because he's not here and I can't just pick up the phone and talk to him anymore. You know, I thank God. I'm like, God, I just thank you that I had the father that I had. I know that I was loved well. That's why it hurts, you know? So we would always make it a point, and I challenge guys to just say, hey, you really need to think about, you know, the people around you that you really care about. If they were taken suddenly and you didn't have a chance to say anything else to them, did you say it all? If you didn't, you got work to do, man. Get it said. Say the things that if they were gone, you wish you would have said. And we did that all the time, because when I went down there to see, when I got the call on a Sunday that my dad was going on a ventilator, and they thought he was going to recover. Like, they weren't really that concerned. But me and my spirit, I was like, I told my wife, I got to go. I texted my boss. I said, I'm going. Boom. I went down there. My brothers tell me, hey, man, I don't think they're going to let you in. And I said, hey, well, one of two things are going to happen. I'm either going to see my dad or I'm going to be on the news tonight, because I'm going in, you know? And so by the time I got there, they were cool. They let me in, right? Which was good, you know, good for them. But anyway, but I went in there and he was fully sedated. I never had another conversation with him. I don't know if he heard me or not, but everything I said, I had said before.
Yeah.
So, and I told him that as I stood there, it was just he and I in the room. I grabbed his hand and I just told him everything that I'm about to say to you. I know I've said to you before, and I know you already know this, and I know how you feel about me. I know you respect the kind of man I am today. I know you love me. I know you how you care about me, and I'm good. Like, there's nothing more you need to say to me. And if you can hear me, be cool with that, man. You're good. We're good. We're solid because of the man that you've been. So that was a tough thing to go through. But then the last one was making your eternal destiny sure. You know, I said this was the most important one, you know, because I know that my dad had a relationship with the Lord. I knew where he was going. And you know, the Bible speaks about how, you know, we don't mourn like the world mourns. We as Christians, we mourn. Our mourning is different because our mourning is, we know that there's a day coming when I'll see him again. Like, I know I'll see him again. This is just a pause. This is just a pause in that relationship, right? And so knowing that, and knowing that he had that piece of understanding where he was going when it was all over, you know, in that room at night, you know, when he was dying, you know, I was on the one side and you know, my dad remarried, so his wife was on the other side and my brother was at his feet. And that's exactly the way he wanted it. He's like, when I die, I want Judy and you and Bill there. And so I was standing there and we were holding his hand and everything. And I was watching him take his last breaths. And, you know, every breath he would take, he would be like, man, is that it? And then he'd take one more, you know, and then finally it was his last breath. But there was so much peace in that room. Like, it was no struggle. Like, he just glided off, man. And it was, and I remember it was like it was really obvious, like how much peace was in that. It's hard for me to describe. I can't adequately describe it. But I remember saying to my brother and Judy, and they both felt the same thing. I'm like, man, it's like God is here, man. It's just so peaceful. And that's the second time I experienced that. I experienced early on with my grandfather. And those two experiences were rock solid for me, man. Like, I'm like, all right, I don't have anything to be afraid of.
Yeah, see, when I hear that, to me, that's real shit, you know, and it makes me, you know, when I first made this channel, I was just kind of talking with different people, just about life. But you just sharing that reaffirms to me the avenue that I want to take, you know, what these conversations are mostly about. And that is, you know, fatherless homes. And the fact that you got to experience that piece, right? People, there's a lot of men out there who are alcoholics. There's a lot of men out there who are struggling different addictions, and they don't have those brothers. They don't have those people in their life that they don't, maybe they hear about their father passing away as just a matter of fact. And that's, you know, like, and you think about all the pain in our world, and it's like the fact that you have that is like such a blessing. And even like, I'm not going to speak on your pain. I can't have that. You know, I still have my father in my life, but I sense how real you're speaking. And that's just like, I want that for my kids when I get older. You know, I don't have kids now, but that's what I would want. Or if I don't have kids, that my brothers have that feeling. What are, you know, the question of what are you going to like at your funeral? Who's going to be there? Why are they going to be there? What impact did you have on other people? You know, in my addiction, I never really, I was kind of just in a fog. as I get older, I just realize how powerful that is. That's what his story is what I want.
Yeah. Well, and yeah, that's cool, man. That's neat for me to hear. I was just hiking with my son today.
Yeah, so your post.
Yeah, and he and I were talking. We always have great conversations when we're hiking, and I highly recommend that for those of you that got sons, is get out there and do adventures. Then they just open up and a relationship builds. But one of the things that we talked about there is I told him, I said, hey, bud, all this stuff that I write about, and he and I, we have a lot of these conversations, but he's 18 and, but I tell him, I leave all this stuff for you. And as you grow and become a man, I want you to read this stuff. This is your dad. This is my struggles. These are the things that I worked my way through. This is how I did it. These are all the things I'm writing this because I have a real burden for men. I want men to win. Yeah. Like, I don't want men to go through the stuff that, the pain, the things that I've touched in the world that caused me pain because I wasn't on the right path. All those lessons I've learned. I want that for other men, like deeply, like God put that on my heart. My heart burns for other men. I want them to experience winning. Above all that, I want that for my son. And I told him that today. And I said, all this stuff that I'm doing out here and all this stuff, I want that for you. Like, I want you to win in this life. I want you to be so much better than I am. I want you to read that stuff, and again, he's an 18-year-old, so he may not be interested in all those kind of things. And that's cool. It took me 25, 26 until I finally got my head screwed on at least halfway, right? For me to start thinking about life in a mature way. But yeah, that's that same kind of thing that my dad with me, now I'm handing that legacy, building that legacy for my son, because he built a legacy for us, and then now I'm building that for my son, and all this stuff that I'm doing with Men of Grit and everything, it's for men and everything, but it's also, hey, son, I'm creating a path here. You build your own path, but I want you to learn, I want you to learn from the things that I've learned,